Christmas? Okay. You still do your, you did your prayers, right? Morning and evening? Your meditation? Yeah. Exercise? Everything. So it shouldn't be any excuse. Even Menika's dog did the meditation. Menika, I saw that cute post.
I caught him at the right time, I must say.
Yeah, that was very cute. Yes. That's a good reminder. If a dog does it, hey, we better do it. Om Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Parbrahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Om Bhuvah Swaha, Tatsavitra Varenayam, Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi, Dhiyo Yo Nah Prachodayat, Asto Ma Satgamya, Tamso Ma Jyotirgamya, Mrityurma Amritam Gamya. Om Sahanavavtu, Sahanav Bhunaktu, Saviryam Karvavahi, Tejasvi Navadhitamastu, Ma Vidvishavahi. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti Om. So in this class we study Vivek Chudamani, and we ended our last Saturday's class with verse number 46, where Shankaracharya ji is telling us that faith, devotion, and practice of meditation, these are mentioned in the songs of Shrutis as the chief factors that help a seeker to attain liberation. Whoever pursues these is liberated from the bondage of the body, which is a projection mysteriously accomplished by his spiritual ignorance. Okay, so that's where we ended our class. So, any question? Do study. See, if we study in the class for an hour, we should definitely spend another hour the whole week on that subject matter. Going back, thinking, reflecting, understanding. Only then we'll be able to practice. Because ultimately it's a practice. Okay, spend some time on your own also, please. So if you don't have a question, then next verse. Agyan yogat paramatma tav hi anatma bandh tatha ev samsriti tayo vivokoho udit bodh vahane agyan karyam pradehat samulam. Agyan yogat. That is a one word. Yogat over here means the contact, the union. Through the contact with the ignorance. Okay. So agyan yogat. Then Paramatmanaha, the Supreme Self. Tav means yours. He means indeed. Anatma bandha, the bondage of the not self. See, there's a self and there's a not self. So it's a bondage with the not self. Tataha, where? Ev means only. Samsriti, the birth and death. Tayo, between these two. Vivek udit bodh vahane. The fire of knowledge raising from a discrimination. Okay, Vivek. Vivek is the discrimination. Udit means arising. Bodh is the knowledge. Agyan karyam, the effects of ignorance. Prah dahet, shall burn. Samulam, together with the roots. Samulam, mul is the root. Saha means with. So it is indeed through contact with ignorance that you who are the Supreme Self. Experience yourself to be under the bondage of the not self. That means we have forgotten who we are. From this misunderstanding alone proceed the worlds of births and deaths. So this coming and going is because of this agyan. We have forgotten who we are. All the effects of ignorance, root and branch. See, samulam means with the roots, the branches also. Root and branch are burnt down by the fire of knowledge, which arises from discrimination between these two, self and not self. So over here, clearly, he is telling us or giving us the causes. Let's say ignorance, which came out from the disconnection from the self and connection with the not self. And that's why we are suffering from the bondages. We just keep on struggling hard. But once we have this knowledge, once we have this Vivek, the discrimination, then this ignorance of the self in us that gives birth to the thought flow called the mind. Then we'll have a clarity. We'll know what the pure consciousness is in us. The sorrows of life, the limitations of the upadhis, the body, mind, intellect, or the imperfections of the world, the concepts of the likes and dislikes, or even the pull of the pleasure and pain, all these are the effect of this lack of discrimination, or we can call it ego also. Wrong identification. So that's why this reflection or a study which he talked about in the last verse is very important. Who am I? Because we know when ego ends, we will realize our real nature. Because it's nothing but divine. It's eternally free and absolute bliss. That's what's called immortality. That our real nature is eternally free. Wherever there is a light, darkness cannot be. Wherever there is a knowledge, ignorance cannot be. It just quits by itself. Just like a darkness, sun rises, darkness of the night rolls away. The same way when the knowledge, this level of knowledge comes, ignorance rolls away automatically. And when all the ignorance has rolled away, the effects of the ignorance, they are gone too. And what are the effects of the ignorance? These three bodies: physical body, mental body, intellectual body. We know that we are not that. Those are only the bodies. Because all of this is made up of ignorance, and we have forgotten our real nature. Let me read this verse again, the English translation, so that you have a clear understanding. It said that it is indeed through contact with ignorance that you, who are the supreme self, experience yourself to be under the bondage of the not self. So real cause is the ignorance about the reality. From this misunderstanding alone proceed the worlds of births and deaths. It's coming and going again and again because of this ignorance. All the effects of ignorance, root and branch, are burnt down by the fire of knowledge, which arises from discrimination between these two, the self and the not self. Okay. So how beautifully he has explained it to us, opened it up. What is the cause of this ignorance? What happens if we stay ignorant? We keep coming back again and again. If we can have the knowledge who we are, then we are liberated. It's as simple. Now, this disciple is listening carefully. And again, this is the style of the Vedic knowledge. The guru teaches, the student listens, then student asks questions and guru answers. And that's what the style is in this verse, in this Vivek Chudamani scripture also. So now question of the disciple. Kripyaha Shruyataam Swamin Prashno Ayam Kriyate Mea Yad Utram Aham Shrutvaha Kritarthasyam Bhavan Mukhat. So Kripyaha Shruyatam. Kripya means please, kindly. Shruyatam, may it be listened. That means please listen. Swamin, O master, Prashna, the question. I am this. Kriyate, made. Maya, by me. Yad Uttaram, whose reply. Aham is I. Shrutva, listening. Kritarthaha. Kritarth is like a fulfillment or blessing gratified. Kritarth. Sayam, I shall be. Bhavan mukhat, from your mouth. So this Shishya said, kindly listen, O Master, to the questions that I now raise. So it's not just a one question, questions. Hearing their answers from your mouth, Bhavan Mukhat, hearing their answers from your mouth, I shall feel entirely satisfied. So he hasn't even put in the questions, he hasn't even heard the answers, but he has a faith in his Guru. Whatever my Guru will tell me, I will be fully satisfied. I'll feel kritarth, fulfilled. This is called faith. It's called faith. Okay. So this is a very conversational style of this verse. Sometimes what happens when we have this kind of a style, the monotony of this deep philosophy is broken and we don't fall asleep. Okay, otherwise, philosophy is very deep. So to me, I think it just really adds a beauty to this scripture. So through a process of discussion, they are trying to attune us towards this deep philosophy also. Okay. So now in the next verse, we'll see the questions which are being asked. There are 7 questions he's asking. Ko naam bandha, katham esh agataha, katham pratisthasya, katham vimokshaha, ko avsavanatmaha, parmak atmaha, tayo vivekaha, katham etat uchyatam. Ko naam. What is this? Name, naam means name. It's like, what is the name or what is this? Bandha, bondage. Katham, how? Eshaha, this. Agata, has come into being. Again, katham, how? Pratishtha, the stay. Asya, of this. Vimokshaha, liberation. Ka means what is asau, that. Anatmaha, not self. Paramaha, the supreme. Ka atmaha, what is that atma? Tayo means of these two. Vivekaha, discrimination. Katham, how? Etat, this. Uchetam, may be explained. He says, what is bondage? How has it come? How does it continue to exist? How can one get out of it completely? What is the not self? Who is the supreme self? And what is the process of discrimination between these two, self and not self? Please explain all these to me. So, series of questions which this student is asking. And we will see that how exhaustively this guru is going to give the answers. These questions, you can see that they are like a complete field of ignorance are covered there in these questions. These are the questions we should be asking also. If we are intellectually curious to know, to understand, to evaluate, or to really understand this confusing world of endless polarity. So these questions give us an inkling into the type of questions to be asked when we approach a divine master. So these are almost like a thirsty questions, demanding an explanation. Because we know that in all the previous verses, the teacher spoke in terms of bondage, liberation, not self, supreme self, discrimination between the self and the not self. So these terms were very freely used by the teacher. But the student was not satisfied just by these terms only. He wants to live them in life. So that's why he's asking pointedly to explain more clearly these terms for me. And we will see that how beautifully the teacher warms up to these questions. First, he is appreciating the student himself. Because if a teacher needs good students, students need good teacher. So this guru says, I have found a student like you. So he says it, Dhanyo asi, krityo asi, pavitam te kulam tavya, yad vidya bandh mukteha, brahmi bhavitum ichasi. Dhanya asi, dhanya means blessed, asi means you are. Krityaha asi, fulfilled you are. Pavitam, purified, sanctified. Te kulam, kulam means family, te means by you. Yad means that avidya bandh muktya, by getting free from the bondage of the ignorance. Avidya bandh muktya. Brahmihi, state of Brahma. Bhavitum ichhasi. Ichhasi means that you wish. So he says, blessed you are. For you wish to attain the absolute Brahma by freeing yourself from the bondage of ignorance. That you have this kind of an inclination, this kind of a deep desire. You want to get liberated. Indeed, you have fulfilled your life and have glorified your family also. Kul. Kul is not just an immediate family. Kul is even beyond that. It's like a clan. So teacher's face is beaming with a smile of satisfaction. So that's why he's using these terms over here. He's just so joyful to meet such a perfect student. And all these words are coming out of that state of mind. So he says, you have sanctified your entire kul. So it's like ancestors also. And the future descendants also. It's not only the past, but the future also. There's a connection with our ancestors and there's a connection with our descendants also. Just like we remember our fathers and the great grandfathers and the great grandfathers, all the qualities which they had, and we like to have those, cultivate those. The same way, our future generation, they will remember us like that too. So he says, whatever you are, you have really sanctified your kul to have this kind of a person in your family. Okay, see, present day, the family world has become very narrow. In fact, it's only like a nucleus family. But it goes way beyond that. So to release ourselves from the shackles of ignorance is not just to have knowledge, but we have to learn to transcend the ignorance which has created and projected the body, mind, and intellect. And through those projections, we just live only a very limited life. But over here, the teacher says, you wish to attain Brahmahood. See, Brahmiv Vitum, and then he uses the word avidya bandh mukta. You want to free yourself from that. And what else teacher says? Next three verses, they go together because he is giving examples over here. He says, Rin mochan karta raha pitu, santi sut adya, bandh mochan karta tu, swa samad anyo na kashan, masta kanyast bhara de dukh अन्य निर्वायते क्षुधा आदि कृत दुखम तु विना सवेन न केनचित पश्यम औषध सेवा च क्रियते येन रोगिनः आरोग्ये सिद्धि दृष्टा अस्य न अन्ये अनुष्ठित कर्मणः. Let's look at 51 first. Rin means the debt. So rin mochan karta raha, to relieve from the debts and obligations. See, mochan means to free, to relieve from the debts and the kartara. Kartara means the obligations. Pitu, of the father. Santihi, are. Sut adya, the children. Sut adya. Bandh mochan karta. Bandh mochan karta means a redeemer. That's a bandh mochan karta. Tu means indeed Swasamat, then oneself. Anyaha, Kaschan, any other person. Na means not. A father has his children and others to save him from his financial debts. That is the first line. Okay, financial debts can be paid off by the children. But to redeem himself from his delusions, there is none but himself. Our children cannot do that for us. Only financial burden they can remove. So, ऋण मोचन करता रहा पितु संतु सुद आद्या बंध मोचन करता तू स्वयं समाद अन्यो न कश्चन. That you have to do it. Nobody else can do it for you. So he is giving us a clear example over here. What happens in this world? Then the next one, another example he gives. Mastak anyast bhara de. Of the load, etc. Bhar means the load. Of the load, etc. placed on the head. Mastak means the head over here. Sometimes mastak word is used for the forehead also. But it's over here the head. Any kind of a weight you have on your head. Dukham is the pain. Anya means by others. Nirvayate means relieved. Kshut adi krit dukham, the sorrow caused by hunger, etc. Kshud is hunger. Tu means but. Vina sovain, except by oneself. Sovain means yourself. Na means not. Kain chit by anyone. Exhaustion and fatigue caused by carrying a load on the head can be relieved by others coming to one's help. So physically, you are taking something on your head, somebody can say, I can help you. I will take the burden. I can carry it for you. But none save one's own self can end the pangs caused by hunger, etc. If you are hungry, nobody can say that, yeah, I'm going to eat for you. We must eat by ourselves to get rid of the hunger. So that's why I was telling you earlier that these are the examples he is giving where we can understand. Okay, some things others can help, but there are some things nobody can help. We got to do it ourselves. Now the third example he is giving, Pashyam Aushadh Sevaha. Pashyam means the prescribed diet, suitable diet, etc. Cha means and, Aushadh Sevaha, taking the medicine. Kriyate, followed, yen by which, rogina, by the patient, arogya siddhi, recovery of health, drishtaha is seen, asya of this person, na means not, anya anushthit karmanaha, by another undergoing the treatment. So the patient who faithfully follows the right diet and takes the proper medicine alone is perceived to recover from his illness. No one recovers because another undergoes the treatment. Okay. See how they are linked together, all three, because he is taking our attention to the same thing. That there are certain things, sure, others can do for us. But there are certain things, no, we got to do it ourselves. So any amount of hearing, study, intellectual thinking, and logical discussion cannot by themselves bring any liberation from our misconception and false evaluation in life. Those are means, definitely, but ultimately, we have to have a experience. So all the objective sciences in the world can be mastered by merely studying them. Okay, you can study. The person who studies the law of the country with all its implications can become a lawyer. Anybody who studies the symptoms of the diseases and their cures can become a doctor. Doctor doesn't have to become a patient to know the science. That's why it's called an objective science. But this spiritual science, which is called Atam Vidya, can be gained only when we have gotten this subjective experience. That's why it's called subjective science, not the objective science. This Atam Vidya. So that's why a teacher can supply a clear vision of what is involved. Teacher can give us the goal also. There could be a logical arguments also. But perfection can come only when there's a experience. Nobody can have experience for us. So that's why he said, to remove hunger, your own stomach must get the food. To remove the illness, you must eat the medicine. Nobody else can eat it for you. And sorrows and the agitations, which are due to our own spiritual delusion, can be relieved only by ourselves. So in short, each one of us must walk the path. Nobody can walk it for us. We must walk the path by ourselves. Sure, our Guru can guide us by the instructions with the help of the scriptures. But the walking we must do. Guru cannot walk for us. This is what he is trying to tell us in this beautiful all three verses are taking us towards the same message. So number 54. Vastu savarupam safut bodh chakshusha स्वेन एव वेद्यम न तु पंडितेन चंद्र स्वरूपम निज चक्षु एव ज्ञातव्यम अन्य गम्यते किम. Vastu Savarupam, the real nature of things, the true nature, or like essence of reality. Vastu Savarupam, Safut Bodh Chakshusha, through the eyes of clear understanding, or the clear eye of knowledge. Swain Ev, by one's own. Vedyam, to be known. Na tu Panditen, but not through learned person. Panditen. Chandra Savarupam, the real form of the moon. Nij Chakshusha, through one's own eyes. Ev means alone, Gyatavyam, to be experienced. Anya, through others. Avgamyate kim, can it be understood? So that's like a question he's putting for us. He says the actuality of things is to be known by a first-hand personal experience through the eyes of clear understanding. and not through the report of a learned man. Then again, he is giving us example here. He says the beauty of the moon is enjoyed through one's own eyes. Can one appreciate it through the description of others? So he is reinforcing the idea which he was trying to convey in the last 3 verses with another example. We know that beauty, brilliance, soft glory, even the queenly dignity which we see in the moon at night. That's why a lot of poems are written, a lot of songs are for the beauty of the moon. But once you see it with your own eyes, you know that those songs of the poems, they have not captured it completely. They indicate it, but not completely. Okay? So some things cannot be captured in words. So that's why he's saying that experience cannot be described fully to us by another, even though he may have experienced it himself. So Pandit really means a person has experienced it, is eloquent in his language also, but cannot explain it fully. Each must experience it for himself, in himself. This is something we need to do. So the analogy of moon is very poetic. So then let's look at one more verse, 55. So this is like he's trying to answer the questions which were asked by the student. So this is the whole section is about that. Avidyaha kam karam adi pashbandham vimochitam ka shaknuyadi anatmanam kalpkoti shatarapi. Avidya kam karam adi pashbandham, the first big word. So avidya is the ignorance. Pash is the bondage. So the bondage caused by the ignorance, desire, and action. So avidya is the ignorance, kam is the desire, excuse me, karam is the action, adi is etc. And etc. could be birth, life, death, happiness, all of that, they come in adi. Pash is the bond. So the bondage caused by the fetters of ignorance, desire, and action. Vi mochitum, to get rid of. Ka means who, shaknuyat, will be able. Atmanam vina, except oneself. Kalap koti shatai, hundreds of millions of years. And we know the kalap means one day of Brahma. So long, millions of years. Hundreds of millions of years. Api means even. So he says, who else but oneself can help rid oneself of the bondage caused by the chains of ignorance, desire, and action, etc. Even in 100 crore of kalps, if you just keep on waiting that somebody will do it for you, maybe that kind of a avatar will come or guru will come, it's not going to happen. This you must do it. This is something you do it yourself. Nobody else can do it for us. Guru can guide, Guru can teach, Guru can motivate, but doing we must do. So that's what he's saying. That if you want to just wait, hey, keep on waiting. Then he says you can wait 100 crore of kalps. So the bondage felt by the mortal is caused by the ignorance of his own real nature. He's just again and again pounding on us. And there are three, it's like most of you know, this is called a Hriday Granthi. These are the three: ignorance, desire, and action. Together they are called Hriday Granthi, or knot of the heart. Okay, ignorance, desire, action. These are almost like a cords which bind the ego to the finite world. And that's where the sorrows we feel. It's like a sorrows of a mortal. Okay. And when he says Adi, Adi means actually the vasanas, the residual impressions. We do the actions, then there are vasanas. That's what Adi means. The vasanas are left behind on the mind when a desire prompted activity is consciously undertaken. We do something, then there's some impressions left behind. And they also are the cause for the bondage. It's not only action alone, but the vasanas also. So who can save a person from the chaos in his mind and the intellect? Nobody else. The answer is contained in the question itself. None but he himself. When he says, who can do it? Only you can do it. Okay. So the kalp, he uses the kalp over here to indicate the entire duration of one universe from its day of creation to its day of doom. Okay, kalp is one day of the creation or the creator, and it's equivalent to 432 million years. It's that long. We study in other scriptures the details about it. Over here, he just mentioned kalpa. Now let's look at next verse. Then after that, we'll stop. And then if you have any questions, we can talk about it. Na yogen, na sankhen, karmanaha, no na vidyaha, brahma, atma, ek tattva, bodhen, mokshaha, siddhyati, na anyatha. Na means not yogen by yoga. Na sankhen, not by sankhya. Na karmana, not through actions. Na vidyaha, not by learning. Brahma Atma Ek Tattva Bodhen, by the realization of the identity of oneself with Brahma. It's like a oneness between me and the Brahma. Mokshaha, liberation. Siddhyati is gained or realized. Na means not, anyatha, not otherwise. Neither by yoga nor by sankhya, nor by ritual, nor by learning is liberation possible. Only by the realization of one's identity with the Brahm is liberation possible, not by any other means. So those are just the means. We got to remember the end. So when you are using the means, remember it's only the means. Means are needed. Learning is needed. Yoga is needed. Logical thinking is needed. But by themselves, they cannot liberate you. That's what it really means. He's not saying that yoga or sankhya or learning is not important. They're important, but they are again the paths. Goal is the moksha. So none of the paths enumerated in the scriptures can take the student to the goal. If we only mechanically follow it without keeping the goal in our mind, that's what he's trying to tell us. Okay. See, there are 6 schools of philosophies from India. 6 schools, which is called Shat Darshan. So and then he mentioned the yoga and sankhya and karmana vidya. So basically he is talking about all of them. Okay, and we are familiar with these terms. These are the paths. And when he says karam, karam over here really means the mimamsa. Mimamsa is another school of thought where ritualistic activities are explained. all the Havan and the Yajnas. So by themselves, all these paths cannot give us the moksha. We must understand what moksha is. And when we say Vidya, Vidya means Upasana also. Concentrated, devoted meditation. Sure, you are doing the Upasana, but ultimately while doing the Upasana also, we got to remember the goal. So all these are in themselves only techniques of self-development. Okay, so he's not putting down any philosophy, but he's saying that make sure that you don't let your an eye away from the goal. Why you are studying? Because of moksha. So all these are in themselves only techniques of self-development, but are not the goal. So the problem is we make the paths as our goal. Path is just a path to reach a goal. And the goal is in realizing that the self in us is the same in everything and being. That is the goal. I want to experience. I am the Atma, and that Atma is everywhere the same, not big or small. This realization of the divine nature of a person has to be individually experienced, each for ourselves. This I can experience for myself, and you will experience for yourself. That we are the Atma, which is nothing but the Paramatma. And that's why Shankaracharya is saying point blank. He says, by no other means. Realization of the self is the only method. There are no other means by which our present experiences of the finite and limitedness can be destroyed. Root and branch. We have to experience it. Okay, let's stop it here because you will see that more and more in this scripture, Adi Shankaracharya is using a lot of analogies. With the help of the analogies, he is taking our mind towards this deep philosophy that we are Atma, we are all one, which Lord Krishna said the same thing in Bhagavad Gita. But he did not give that many examples the way Shankaracharya is giving us the examples in this scripture. But the philosophy is the same. You remember in Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna, what does he say? For Jnani, there's no difference between a cow, a dog, or even a dog eater and a pandit. So that's what exactly he's saying. We got to raise our attention through experience to that level. And how do we experience it? That's what he told us. What were those three things where we ended last week? We have to meditate. We have to have a devotion also. We have to have a faith also. All that is needed. Okay? So our sadhana has to have all the qualities. And sadhana has to be a very substratum of our life, foundation of our life, the sadhana. Okay? So now I'll let you talk. If you have any question, comment on these verses.
Want to do Purnamadam first or?
Yeah, we can do that. Then you can ask questions. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Visheshyate Om Shanti 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 Om.
Actually, I did have a question.
Uh-huh.
You said the fruits of karam is mimansa. Right?
Yeah, yeah.
And mimansa are the rituals and?
Yeah. Yeah, Mimamsa is a ritualistic activity.
Ritualistic activities,
Okay.
Okay.
Sure, it's divine, it's a sacred, But if we just only get just keep on doing only the rituals and forgetting that with the help of the rituals we are supposed to disidentify from the Prakriti and identify with the Atma.
So that is also a bondage.
That's a bond. It can become a bondage and it can become a source of liberation.
Source of, okay.
But we have to see, just like a yoga also, what do I tell you? Even a hatha yoga itself, if we think we are the body and I can do better asanas than others, or I'm the best teacher, then it becomes a source of bondage.
Yeah.
If I do yoga, keeping in mind I'm the Atma and everybody else is the Atma too, then it becomes a source of liberation. So these are the means, not the end by themselves.
Got it.
The problem is we just get so attached to the means, we forget the end. Nothing wrong with the means. But the problem is when we become attached to the means.
Okay.
Okay?
Yep.
So, and Sankhya is where, Sankhya philosophy, where understanding what this nature is all about, Prakriti and Purush, the difference. If we can only memorize and not really live this truth, then again we are bondaged. Got it?
Got it. Yes.
So nothing wrong with the rituals, nothing wrong with the yoga, nothing wrong with the learning, nothing wrong with the upasana. But remember, those are only the means,
Okay.
not the end. Okay?
Great.
So that's a lesson we have learned today. Anybody else? Yes, Urmit, unmute yourself, please.
In 56, what did we do? In
56. Yeah, na yogen, na sankhyan, karmana, no na vidya. Yeah.
Yogena, no Sankhya. What is Sankhya?
Yeah, na sankhyan, not by Sankhya, Sankhya philosophy.
Can you go over those 6 philosophies today or next time?
Yeah, next time I'll start with that. Yeah, because only 5 minutes left. I can give you all the 6 philosophies and then the brief description also. I'll give you that. Okay. Yeah, definitely. 6 philosophy. Those are called Shat Darshan. 6
I'm
philosophy.
sure we have notes somewhere, but it'll
Yeah,
be
no,
nice.
no, I'll give you again. Don't worry. Yeah. I'm sure a lot of other people, they don't know. So we'll start with that next week. Okay. Because we're going to start with the verse 57. So 56 we'll revisit and then I'll give you the details. Yes. Anybody else?
Hershey,
Yes.
number 55. Could you explain that a little bit more? I understood it, but a little bit more explanation on number 55.
Sure. He says, who else but oneself can help rid oneself of the bondage caused by the chains of ignorance, desire, and action. So in other words, we better help ourselves. We cannot wait for somebody else to come and help us on this path. Okay, so it's like almost a question he's putting, but in the question, there's an answer. So who else but oneself can help rid oneself of the bondage caused by the chains of ignorance? So bondage is caused by this chain. Chain is what? Chain of the ignorance, desire, and action. This is the chain. Ignorance means I have forgotten who I am. Then what happened? I have material desires. And the more the desires, more the actions I do. And by doing this, I have moved further away from the truth. So he says, who can bring us back but ourselves? So that means a sadhana we must do. If we think that no, not in this lifetime, next lifetime, then we can be waiting and waiting and waiting. Even in next life or even after 100 million lifetimes, we have to do it. Nobody can do it for us. That's the point he's trying to make. Okay. So the sadhana is our sadhana by ourselves. And the sooner we start, the better off we will be. Otherwise, the longer we wait, the more there will be to clean. It's almost like if I spill something in my carpet, the sooner I clean it, the better it is. The longer I wait, the more stain there is. Don't we all understand that part?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yes.
Or
Yes.
if I have dishes in the sink, the sooner I do it, easier to wash. The longer I wait, more there will be and tougher to wash. And those are only physical things. Here we are putting a lot of impressions on our mind. Mind itself is subtle. Impressions are even subtler than that.
Mm-hmm.
We
Yes.
even forget what did we do yesterday? What did I say yesterday? But all has gone in there. The sooner we wash it, the better it is because only we can do it. So urgency of the sadhana and ownership of the sadhana. I am the one who's responsible. I'm the one who's supposed to do it. The sooner I do it, the better off I will be. Nobody else gonna come over here to do it for me.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So
Okay.
yes, Menka, you have a question?
Thank you.
No. Anybody else has a question?
Nope, I think that's it. We're
That's good.
good
Okay.
for our.
I couldn't find my raise hand thing for some reason. That's
It's
why.
okay. It's okay. Tell us.
I think, and after I have to do it, then you have to let go of the I.
It goes away.
It goes away.
It
Okay.
goes away. Yes. Yes. I goes away. I just merges with the big I. Okay. Yeah, we don't have to worry too much about that. We got to just work on what he's telling us, and then it will. It's just like a spontaneously it goes away. Okay. Yeah, it's almost like we have to have faith in this whole system. God says, I am waiting for you with my open arms. You have to just take few steps. Every step we take, he comes towards us 7 steps. So I is removed. Once we see him, I is gone. That is the beauty of the grace of God. Okay.
Thank you. Sorry to interrupt you.
No interruption. These questions are good. That's why we have these kind of meetings over here. Is there anybody else has a question, or anybody wants to sing? Otherwise, Manny can play the chanting for us.
Manny.
Okay, all right, Manny, go ahead.
I think before Manny you play, I just want to mention that Zoom had another update. So if you guys have Zoom downloaded, maybe you want to update that version on your computers or devices. And Sujata, that's probably one of the reasons why your raise hand button is not there.
I saw that for the first time that, my raise hand button, where is it? I've been trying to look for it, but that's okay.
Right, I think Ken had that problem the other day as well. So
yeah,
I think we need to update.
I'll try. I thought I downloaded it actually because I saw that they had sent that update, but I'll look again.
That's okay. I just saw mine, so I thought I should just mention it.
Yeah.
So Manny.
Okay. All right, good. And then we do have a retreat on 16th of January. So do look into that also, because that will be the Saturday. We won't have this class, but instead of the class, we'll have the retreat. Okay. Okay, Manny. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank